Hello? My girlfriend looked at me and said, "It's just a dinner. Stop being jealous." I paused, then replied calmly, "All right, go." Later, I walked into the same restaurant, but not alone. I came with her coworker. The moment she saw us, I watched the smile vanish from her face. I'm Jake, 31M. My girlfriend is Kate, 28F. We've been together a little over a year and a half, living together for the last 8 months. If you looked at her Instagram, you'd think she had life completely figured out. Perfect outfits, carefully angled lattes, captions about boundaries, and protecting her peace. If you looked at my bank statements, you'd see how that peace was funded. This all started 3 weeks ago, but the specific moment I can't get out of my head happened last Friday. Kate came home late, heels in hand, already annoyed before I even spoke. She dropped her bag on the counter and said, super casually, "So I'm grabbing dinner tomorrow with a coworker." I asked which coworker. Not aggressively, just asked. She sighed like I'd asked her to explain gravity. "Evan, from work. It's just a dinner. You don't need to do this." That tone, that sharp, dismissive tone she uses when she's already decided I'm wrong. I said, "Do what? Ask a question?" She rolled her eyes. "Be jealous. God, it's exhausting. You're acting insecure." That word again. Insecure. Her favorite way to shut things down. I told her it felt weird. That late dinners with male coworkers weren't exactly my favorite thing. She laughed. Actually laughed. Then she said the line that keeps replaying in my head. "It's just a dinner. Stop being jealous." I looked at her for a second, waiting for any sign she cared how I felt. Nothing. Just irritation, like I was a task she didn't want to deal with. So I said, "All right, go." Her face relaxed instantly. She smiled, kissed my cheek like she'd won something, and went back to her phone. Conversation over. What she didn't know was that, all right, wasn't agreement. It was clarity. Because for the first time, instead of wondering if I was crazy, I realized I was done playing dumb. And I already knew exactly where they were going. The next day, I couldn't focus on anything. Work emails blurred together. My phone stayed face down on my desk like it might bite me. I kept replaying the conversation, the way Kate said jealous like it was something dirty, something embarrassing I should apologize for feeling. Around noon, she texted me. "Dinner's at 7. Probably be late. Don't wait up." No heart emoji. No love you. Just a notification. I typed have fun and deleted it. Typed okay and deleted that too. Eventually I sent nothing. That felt new. Good, even. Here's some context I probably should have included earlier. Kate works in marketing for a mid-sized lifestyle brand. Lots of team dinners. Lots of blurred boundaries disguised as networking. Evan, the coworker, had come up before. Always in passing. Always with this little laugh, like I was supposed to find it charming that he texted her memes at midnight. I'd met him once. Company party. He shook my hand without looking at me, and then immediately turned back to Kate to finish his sentence. She didn't notice. Or didn't care. At 6:30, Kate came out of the bedroom dressed like she was going on a first date. Not jeans and a top, casual. Full effort. Hair done. That perfume she only wears when she wants to be noticed. I said, "You look nice." She checked herself in the mirror. "I know. No thank you." She grabbed her bag and paused at the door. "Don't be weird tonight, okay?" "I'm not going anywhere," I said. She smirked. Good. The door shut behind her, and the apartment felt quieter than it ever had. That's when I did something I'm not proud of, but I'm also not sorry for. I checked her location. She'd shared it with me months ago for safety, her words. I hadn't opened it in weeks. But there it was. A little dot moving across the map. Straight to a downtown restaurant I recognized immediately. Not casual. Not quick bite after work. The kind of place you make reservations for. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I did the math in my head. And I made a call. Because if it was really just a dinner, then no one should have a problem with me showing up too. The call was to Mark. Mark's been my friend since college. Calm. Observant. The kind of guy who notices things before you do and doesn't say anything until you're ready to hear it. He answered on the second ring. "Hey," he said. "You okay? Can you meet me for dinner?" I asked. A pause. "Right now?" "Yeah." Another pause. Longer this time. "Where?" I named the restaurant. Same one, Kate's, that was parked it on my phone. Mark didn't ask why. He just said, "Give me 20. I showered, changed, put on a jacket that didn't scream trying too hard. The whole time, my hands were steady. That scared me more than if I'd been angry. I felt detached, like I'd already stepped back and was watching myself do this. We got there at 7:18. Host stand was busy. Soft lighting. Low music. Definitely not just grabbing food. I gave my name. The hostess smiled and said, right this way. As we walked past the bar, I saw her. Kate was sitting in a booth, angled inward, laughing. Not her polite laugh. The real one. The one I hadn't heard in a while. Evan was across from her, leaning in too close, elbow on the table like he belonged there. My stomach didn't drop. It went quiet. Mark noticed before I said anything. That her? Yeah. We were seated 2 tables away, close enough to see her expressions. Far enough that she hadn't noticed me yet. I watched her brush her hair behind her ear. Watched her nod while Evan talked, eyes locked on his mouth. Watched her pick up her phone and set it face down on the table. Something she never does with me. She looks comfortable, Mark said quietly. She does. The waiter came. We ordered drinks. I didn't look at Kate again until the drinks arrived. That's when she turned her head. Her eyes landed on me first. Then Mark. The color drained from her face so fast, it was almost impressive. Her smile collapsed mid-expression, like someone had pulled a plug. She froze. Evan followed her gaze, confused. He turned, saw us, then looked back at her like he'd missed a punchline. Kate straightened in her seat. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. I raised my glass slightly. Not smug, not angry, just present. She didn't wave, didn't smile. She just stared. And in that moment, I knew something important. If this really was just a dinner, she wouldn't have looked like she'd been caught doing something wrong. But she did, and she couldn't look away. Kate recovered fast. I'll give her that. She leaned toward Evan and said something I couldn't hear. Probably a lie delivered with that soft smile she practices in the mirror. Evan glanced back at us again, longer this time, then nodded like he'd been reassured. Kate stood up. She didn't walk toward me right away. She went to the bathroom first. Classic move. By time. Regained control. Mark took a sip of his drink. You good? Yeah, I said. And I meant it. I felt weirdly calm, like the decision had already been made somewhere deep and my body just hadn't caught up yet. She came back a minute later and walked straight to our table. What are you doing here? She asked, low voice, tight smile. Not high. Not what a coincidence. Straight to accusation. Having dinner, I said. You said it was just a dinner. Her jaw tightened. With him? I glanced at Mark. Yeah. She crossed her arms. This is really immature. That word again. Immature. Another favorite. Mark looked up at her. Hey, I'm Mark. She ignored him completely. Eyes locked on me. Did you follow me? No, I said. You told me where you were going. I just decided to eat too. Her nostrils flared. You're trying to make a scene. I looked around. No one was staring. No raised voices. Just her. There is no scene, I said. Unless you make one. She leaned in closer. You're embarrassing me. That's when it hit me. Not guilt. Not fear. Annoyance. Because nowhere in her tone was concern about how I felt. Only about how this looked. How it affected her. Evan appeared behind her then, like he'd finally worked up the courage to approach. Hey, he said awkwardly. Everything okay? Kate answered before I could. No. He's being weird. Mark raised an eyebrow. I stayed quiet. Evan looked between us. I didn't realize this was like a thing. Kate laughed, sharp and fake. It's not. He just gets like this. Something about that sentence flipped a switch in me. I stood up. Enjoy your dinner, I said to Evan. Then I looked at Kate. Text me when you're done. Her eyes widened. Excuse me. I mean it, I said calmly. Take your time. And I walked back to my table. Behind me, I heard her hiss my name. I didn't turn around. For the first time, I wasn't chasing the explanation. I was watching her scramble without one. Mark and I ate in silence for a few minutes. Not awkward silence. Observant silence. Kate didn't come back to her table right away. I could see Evan talking, gesturing with his hands like he was trying to understand what the hell just happened. Kate sat stiff, nodding too fast, eyes flicking toward me every few seconds like she was checking to see if I was still there. She's spiraling, Mark said quietly. I know. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. Finally, Kate stood up again and walked over, phone already in her hand like a shield. We need to talk, she said. I didn't look up from my plate. We are. No, alone. I met her eyes. You said it was just dinner. So let's not make it weird. Her mouth tightened. You're doing this on purpose. Am I? I asked. Because I feel like I'm just existing in the same space as you. Something you seemed fine with until now. She lowered her voice. Evan thinks you're my brother. I almost laughed. Mark actually did. Kate shot him a look. This isn't funny. It kind of is, Mark said. You erased him from the story so cleanly you forgot to update the cast list. She turned back to me, furious now. Why couldn't you just trust me? There it was. The pivot. Make it about my failure. I did trust you, I said. That's why you're here instead of explaining yourself at home. She stared at me like she was seeing a stranger. So what? You just wanted to catch me? I wanted to see you, I said. And I did. Her phone buzzed. She glanced down. Another message from Evan, probably asking where she went. She exhaled sharply. I'm leaving. Okay. That wasn't the answer she wanted. She hesitated. You're not coming? I shook my head. I'm still eating. She stood there for a moment longer, like she was waiting for me to panic, to apologize, to pull her back into position. I didn't. She went back to Evan, grabbed her bag, said something quick. He looked confused, then annoyed, then uncomfortable. She didn't look at me when she walked out. Mark set his fork down. You realize this isn't over, right? Yeah, I said. But it started. Because for the first time, Kate had lost control of the narrative. And she hated that more than anything. Kate came home after midnight. I was on the couch, TV on but muted, just sitting there. Not waiting in the dramatic sense. Just present. When she walked in and saw me awake, I watched the calculation happen behind her eyes. She kicked off her shoes harder than necessary. So you embarrassed me tonight. No hello. I muted the TV completely. You embarrassed yourself. Her head snapped toward me. Wow. Unbelievable. You stalk me, show up uninvited, make things awkward with my coworker, and I'm the problem? I stayed calm. That seemed to bother her more than anything else. You told me where you were going. That doesn't mean you get to insert yourself. You said it was just dinner, I replied. If that's true, nothing should have changed. She laughed bitterly. You're twisting things. This is exactly why I didn't want to tell you. Tell me what? I asked. She hesitated. Just a fraction of a second. But I saw it. There's nothing to tell, she snapped. God, you're exhausting. She went straight for the bedroom. I didn't follow. Didn't ask where she'd been. Didn't demand explanations. That silence hit her on the stairs. Are you not even going to say anything? She called back. I already did, I said. She stormed back into the living room. So that's it. You just don't care now? That one landed. Not because it hurt, but because it revealed the truth. She didn't want reassurance. She wanted reaction. I care, I said. I just don't feel like competing anymore. Her face hardened. Competing with who? With whoever gets the version of you I don't. She stared at me, arms crossed, defensive. You're being dramatic. No, I said quietly. I'm being honest. That shut her up. She stood there for a long moment, like she was waiting for me to backtrack. Apologize. Say I overreacted. I didn't. Finally she scoffed. I'm going to bed. Okay. She walked away again, this time slower, like she expected me to stop her. I didn't. Lying there alone, I realized something important. This wasn't about Evan, or dinner, or jealousy. It was about how easily she dismissed me when she thought I wouldn't leave, and how uncomfortable she suddenly felt when she wasn't so sure. Because once you stop chasing clarity, the truth gets loud on its own. The next morning felt fake. Kate moved around the apartment like everything was normal. Too normal. Humming softly while making coffee. Asking if I wanted eggs like she hadn't spent the night before calling me exhausting. I watched her from the kitchen table, realizing how familiar this pattern was. Tension, deflection, reset. Pretend nothing happened, and wait for me to follow her back into alignment. Are you still mad? She asked casually, pouring almond milk into her mug. I'm not mad, I said. She paused. Then what? I thought about that for a second. I'm paying attention. That earned me an eye roll. Jesus, you're being cryptic again. No, I said. I'm just not filling in the gaps for you anymore. She sat across from me, phone already in her hand. You're acting like I cheated on you. I didn't say that. But that's what you're implying. I leaned back in my chair. If you feel accused, maybe ask yourself why. Her expression shifted. Defensive, sharp. You don't trust me. I trust patterns, I replied. And I trust how people act when they think they're being watched versus when they think they're not. She scoffed. So now you're analyzing me? I always have, I said. I just stopped ignoring what I saw. That shut her up again. She hated pauses she didn't control. Her phone buzzed. She glanced at it quickly, then locked the screen and placed it face down. Too deliberately. Evan asked if I was okay, she said, like she was daring me to react. And I asked. And I told him things were complicated. Are they? I asked. She hesitated. You're making them complicated. I shook my head. You made them unclear. I just stopped pretending they weren't. She stood abruptly. I have to get to work. Okay. Again, not the reaction she wanted. At the door, she turned back. I don't like who you're being right now. I met her eyes. You liked me better when I was confused. She left without another word. Sitting alone, I finally admitted the quiet truth I'd been circling since the restaurant. I wasn't trying to fix this anymore. I was trying to see how far she'd go to avoid taking responsibility. And something told me she was about to show me exactly who she was when the leverage disappeared. By that evening, the apartment felt different. Not tense. Emptier. Like something important had already left, even though all the furniture was still there. Kate came home later than usual. Again, she didn't announce herself this time. Just dropped her keys in the bowl and stood there, watching me like she was trying to read the room before stepping into it. "You're quiet," she said. "I've been quiet for a while," I replied. "You're just noticing now." She sat down across from me, folding one leg under herself. Defensive posture disguised as casual. "Are you trying to punish me?" "No," I said. "I'm trying not to lie to myself anymore." She exhaled sharply. "You're acting like I owe you some kind of confession." "I'm acting like I'm done begging for basic respect." That hit harder than I expected. Her expression cracked, just slightly. "You don't get to control who I have dinner with," she snapped. "I never tried to," I said. "I asked to be considered." Silence. Then she said something that finally clarified everything. "I didn't tell you because I knew you'd react like this." I nodded slowly. "So you made a decision about my feelings before giving me a chance to have them." She opened her mouth, closed it, looked away. "That's not fair," she said. "No," I agreed. "But it is convenient." Her phone buzzed on the coffee table. She didn't grab it immediately this time. That hesitation said more than any explanation could. "Is he texting you?" I asked calmly. She didn't answer. "Kate." "Yes," she said. "But it doesn't mean anything." I leaned forward, elbows on my knees. "Then why does everything fall apart when I'm in the same room?" She stood up abruptly. "I can't do this. You're interrogating me." "I'm asking questions you don't want to answer," I said. "There's a difference." She grabbed her jacket. "I need space." That word again. Space. Her emergency exit whenever accountability showed up. "Take it," I said. She paused at the door, clearly expecting something else. Anger. Fear. Apologies. Instead, I added, "Just don't expect me to wait in the dark anymore." Her eyes flicked to mine. For the first time, I saw uncertainty instead of control. She left without slamming the door, and I sat there realizing the strangest thing of all. I wasn't scared of losing her. I was relieved to stop losing myself. Kate didn't come home that night. She texted around 11:40 p.m., staying at a friend's. "Don't wait up." I didn't reply. That was new for both of us. The next morning, I woke up before my alarm. The apartment was silent in a way that felt intentional. Her side of the bed untouched. Closet doors slightly open, like she'd grabbed things in a hurry. I made coffee and sat at the table, scrolling through my phone without actually reading anything. At 8:17 a.m., my phone buzzed. "We need to talk." Like actually talk. I stared at it for a long time before answering. "Okay." She came back that afternoon. Different energy this time. Softer. Careful. Like someone approaching a dog that might bite. She set her bag down slowly. "I've been thinking." "Good," I said. She frowned. "See that tone?" "No tone," I replied. "Just listening." She sat across from me, hands folded. "I feel like you're pulling away instead of fighting for us." I nodded. "I stopped fighting you." "That's different." She looked genuinely confused. "Relationships take work. They take honesty," I said. "Not management." That landed. Hard. She swallowed. "Evan and I, we flirt sometimes. It's harmless." There it was. The half-confession designed to minimize damage. "Harmless to who?" I asked. She looked down. "I never planned for it to become a problem." "That's the thing," I said quietly. "You planned around me instead of with me." Her eyes filled, but I felt nothing rush in to save her. No instinct to comfort. Just clarity. "I didn't cheat," she said quickly. "I didn't accuse you," I replied. "I just don't recognize the way you treat me anymore." She reached for my hand. I didn't pull away. I didn't hold on either. "I need to know," she said, voice shaking. "Are you done?" I looked at her, really looked at her. The defensiveness. The fear of losing control. The way everything was about optics, not connection. "I think I was done before the restaurant," I said. "I just hadn't admitted it yet." She went very still. "I don't want to be with someone who only values me when I'm compliant," I continued. "And I don't want to compete with people you swear don't matter." Tears fell then. Real ones. But for the first time, they weren't enough to change my mind. Because the moment you stop negotiating your self-respect, things become painfully clear. And I finally knew exactly what I needed to do next. I didn't pack that day. That surprised her. Kate hovered while I moved around the apartment, opening drawers, closing them again, touching familiar things without claiming them. She kept waiting for the dramatic moment. Suitcase. Raised voices. Something she could point to later and say, this is when it blew up. But that's not how it ended. I thought you'd leave, she said quietly. I am, I replied. Just not like that. She frowned. Then how? I'm detaching, I said. There's a difference. I told her I'd be staying with Mark for a bit. Told her we could talk logistics later. Rent, lease, timelines. I kept my voice even. Calm. Like this was already settled. She didn't cry this time. She looked panicked. You're really not going to fight, she said. I met her eyes. You don't fight for someone who keeps you as an option. That's when it finally hit her. Not that she might lose me, but that she already had. I grabbed my keys, my wallet, my jacket. The simple stuff. The things that were unquestionably mine. At the door, she said my name one last time. Softer than I'd heard it in weeks. I never meant to hurt you. I nodded. I know. You just meant to prioritize yourself. She didn't respond. I walked out, not angry, not devastated. Just clear. Because here's the part one didn't understand until it was over. Jealousy wasn't the problem. Control was. Dismissal was. The slow erosion of being treated like a background character in my own relationship. The restaurant wasn't the betrayal. Her reaction was. And the moment I stopped arguing for my place in her life was the moment I finally took it back. If you've read this far and you're wondering whether you're overreacting in your own relationship, ask yourself one question. Would they still choose you if you stopped explaining why you deserve to be chosen? That answer tells you everything. Bye-bye.